welcome to the GLAC studio. This is Gomathi, Siva, Sankaran, founder, CEO, the Guiding Light Art Company, building bright futures through art. Today, in the season 2, episode 3 of the GLAC What Next series, Change Management in Practice, we are meeting a menstrual activist. Founder of AVNI, Holistic Menstrual Care. Sujata Pawar. Without much ado, let's meet up with Sujata to understand change management in practice from her point of view and how she is changing the world that she sees. Sujata Pawar, welcome to the GLAC What Next series, Change Management in Practice. I am so happy to be interviewing you. There's a lot that I have learned from you through our friend. And also when I looked at your LinkedIn page, there was a lot that was going on. I was thinking, oh yeah, I must talk to her.
Thank you so much, Gomathi. I'm really excited to be here today talking to you, and I know this is going to be a very fun conversation. Also, the reason being, this is my first such kind of a conversation that I'm doing. So I'm really excited about it. My name is Sujata. I am born and brought up in a city called Mumbai in India. So I've spent my whole life since birth here, and if I have to talk about my education qualification, I am a pharmaceutical graduate. So I have done my bachelor's of pharmacy from Mumbai University, and then I went on to do my MBA in marketing, specializing into pharmaceutical management, which was way back in 2012 that I completed my entire education. I have always been very enthusiastic about starting something of my own, for the reason, and the reasons for this might be maybe dual, because one is I have seen my father has been into business for the last 18-20 years now. So I have seen him start something from scratch and grow it to a very big level. And the second thing is, I have, as an individual, always been very enthusiastic about changing things, for the better, of course. So that is one of the reasons why I've got the space that I've gotten into now, which is of menstrual health. That is something that has been troubling me since I started menstruating. So it was always there. There needs to be a lot of change that needs to come in this space, and that has always been there at the back of my mind. So I took some professional experience, worked in pharmaceutical companies for 7 years before I could take the plunge. But what I wanted to do was something that was, I think, already decided in my subconscious mind while I was 14 years or 15 years, something like that.
Okay, that's very nicely put. That's very nicely put. I did see, like I said, I did see your profile, and what interested me about you was this getting into corporates. Immediately after the MBA, you get into corporates, and you have a very, very good identity, a good job, a salary, and whatnot. The whole package. But still, you were thinking of starting on your own and plunging into this darkness, not knowing where you are. How did that happen? And were you working on it simultaneously while you were with the corporates, or how was it?
Yes, so I'll tell you an interesting story here, and this was again when I was some 16 or 17 years old. We just to build a background here, in India we celebrate the Ganesh festival, the Vinayak Chaturthi, this festival very elaborately. So there is an idol of Ganeshji that comes to our home for every year, 5-7 days, and then we do all the worshipping and all the seva, as we call, with all the devotion. So what used to happen is there were a couple of years when I saw that my mom used to pop pills to just postpone her periods. And as a family, we were my father, and then there were 3 women at home. So it was my mother and then 2 sisters, me and my sister. So it was more women in the family. And I used to see, and this happened twice when my mother popped pills to postpone her periods. And by that time, I had started getting my periods. So I knew, that what exactly happens, and we were vocal about that. So I asked her why did she pop pills and what was the exact reasons to postpone the periods. So she told me that because we have this festival to celebrate and there's going to be a lot of puja and stuff going on at home, it is considered inauspicious for the women of the house to be menstruating at that time. And it was just us women at house. We were small, so we were rather of low use to her at that time. So that is what stuck with me, because why is it that traditionally, and I always had this question in mind, that if I'm menstruating, God knows, okay, this is happening to me. So why is it that we then have to pop pills to postpone stuff, and something that's so biological in nature?
Yes.
Why do we have to really shift that? That thing stuck in mind, and that it always stayed there. I never really questioned it too much because I knew my mother was not going to listen. Then I grew up, and then life happened, and I started going to college. It was, I think, 10 or 12 years back when this normal college life, I was using the regular commercial sanitary pads which were available in the market. A lot of plastics, lot of chemicals. I started getting a lot of issues, irritation, chapped skin, a lot of rashes at times. And I was a very lean person at that time. So I started, I don't know, I started discussing it with my friends, and that is it happening with you, or is it just me? Maybe I have developed an allergy or something. I realized that most of the girls, most of my friends have either sometime or the other experienced the same issue. And at that time, I was actually studying my pharmaceutical graduation. I was doing the graduation. So I was into the healthcare field, research, and something that was always ingrained in us, or at least was getting ingrained. So I started doing some research and came across a lot of researched published data which was suggesting that there is a lot of chemicals, there are a lot of plastics, and they are in turn harming the reproductive system, because everything is in contact with your very intimate area. It is in the region of vulva, which is a very sensitive area, lot of blood circulation, lot of nerve endings, because of which anything that is put across that place gets absorbed inside. Most of us know that there are medicines called as suppositories which are to be taken. Basically, they have to be inserted in the vaginal area for quicker absorption. So that is how this entire system works. So just imagine something being put there which is of I don't know what kind of a quality, and everything is getting just absorbed. And that is one of the reasons why we're seeing a lot of reproductive system harm, also leading to cancer in some cases. Over a long period of use, of course, not very immediately. So then these were two things, one experience which I told you earlier, then there was this experience which I was facing with the products. So 10 years back, I started searching for alternatives myself. And when I found out good alternatives, I was comfortable with them. I wanted to bring that to other women in India. And that is where the entire journey started. It is just that because I was studying at that time, I had to finish my studies, and then I got into corporates to get the required experience. I was just waiting for a few years till the product prototype was ready and everything. Once it was ready, it again took 3-4 years for us to build the first prototype of our first product, which is our flagship product right now. It's the cloth pad.
Yeah.
So once that is ready, we launched it last year. It was the March of 2020 that we launched the brand. So if you really ask, it has been a journey of not just 12 years, but 15 to 20 years when we were thinking about stuff and then developing products and then building a prototype, and then the launch has happened right now.
Most women do find it uncomfortable to discuss. Developed cities, it's still a taboo to discuss so openly and say, I have an issue with this and this is what I need, or can you help me? Or so. Calling out for help is not something many women resort to, unfortunately, especially with such issues. How did that happen that you felt, okay, I will talk about it, doesn't matter what people think or the taboo?
I think a lot of this actually can be credited to my parents and our upbringing, where even if we were two girls growing up in a Hindu family, in an Indian family, we were raised like very equally. We were never allowed to feel that we are any lesser than boys. We were never denied of opportunities, of the right to speech,
Mm.
to voice out our concerns, to voice out our opinions. So both me and my sister have been raised like very supremely opinionated women, if I have to say. So I think that stems from that fact that if you feel that there is some issue, you need to voice out, especially a problem like this, a taboo like this, which is only the matter of concern for a woman, for only half of the population of the country. You need all the more women to talk about it. And that was something that was not happening. Even today in India, the biggest brands that are there in the menstrual health space are led by men. So this is something that I really wanted to change. I really wanted to bring the feminine aspect into this discussion, because okay, you might know products better, you might know the technologies better, but we know what exactly happens, what it means for a woman to take the decision of talking about her periods, about her bad experiences, what it means for her to change her sanitary pad, a product that she's been using for 10 years, and commercials and bigger marketing companies have put that in her mind. We needed to change that. So somebody has had to do it. I was comfortable doing it. I was lucky to find people who were supportive of me. My parents, my husband. So my husband is actually also the co-founder of the company. So he also.
I noticed that. I'm coming to that.
So he actually knows more about sanitary pads than I know right now, So he's that engrossed in the company. So I have found not just women, not just my mother or my sister, but also the men in my life who have really supported me. And what happened is, I think we had some apprehension, or we normally as humans have some apprehension. Nobody's talking about this topic, nobody's talking about sex, or nobody's talking about such kind of taboo topics. If I go and talk about it, will people like trash me and troll me and stuff like that? Actually, the reverse thing happened, because everybody knows this is a taboo topic. Everybody knows that we need to talk about it more. I need to talk to somebody about it more. The moment you see somebody taking that risk and take summing up the courage and talking about this, they actually come in support. Actually, more people have supported us, and okay, I'm so happy that you're doing such a great job. All my friends, school friends, college friends, they have been so supportive that okay, somebody had to talk, and we are proud to see you talking about it. I'm really happy to have you as a friend in my life, who is supporting such a noble cause. So most of the times we feel like people are just going to thrash and troll us and condemn us, but more often or not, it's always a reverse thing that happens. So it's just important to just take that leap of faith and get into doing what you really want to do, what you're really passionate about.
That is so amazing. I am going to share with you. I think you might know this. I don't remember the name of the guy from Tamil Nadu. He was curious about women's menstrual issues, and he started trying to find out where the problem is. He ended up asking women for used napkins to, to figure out. In this process, he was definitely thrashed by people, and including his wife. I remember him explaining that she just had to leave him because of what he was trying to do. And it did sound totally weird at the beginning for many people. And I think there's a TED talk, but he talks mostly in Tamil. Maybe I will share later. So women talking about women issues is taboo, and men talking about women issues again is another problem for men, that you're
Crime, actually.
addressed as a man, you're not addressed as a man in the society of manhood or whatever. So he had to go through that. So we should have had your husband also in this call now. Yeah. How was it for your husband to come along on board with you on this subject to this great extent, being the co-founder?
Yeah. I know him for the last 10 years now. We've been married for 5 years and dated 5 years before that. So he has always been supportive of the decisions that I have taken, also things that I have wanted to do in life. The first thing that one is, he was the one to motivate me or encourage me to get into business at that point of time. He was like, you wanted to do it anyways, so just get into it now instead of waiting and putting it out for later in life. So that was the first level of encouragement. Second level is, if I just have to put the Indian scenario in perspective here, as you have mentioned, the person's name is Mr. Muruganantham is his name.
Yeah.
And there's a movie that has been a very famous Bollywood movie that has been made on this topic. So whatever you have mentioned is actually shown in that movie. Very beautifully made movie. At least it does justice to the topic. Somebody needed to talk about that topic at that time. So very beautifully put. Uh, the problem with what has happened is, menstrual health, if you just see from a Ayurveda perspective, from what our ancient traditions have been, since I've done a lot of reading on that now, I have realized that things that our grandmothers or their mothers have done have been from a very positive health perspective. They have never considered a menstruating woman or the menstrual cycle of a woman as impure. Never. The practices that have been set at that time have been set as per that times and whatever was available at that time, to just aid the woman to lead a very balanced life during her menstruating years. What has happened is, over a long period of time, years and decades and centuries passing by, we have definitely lost that essence, and neither do we have that kind of patience now to understand what really happens. Everything has just been misconstrued as negative. Why women are not allowed to go into temples? It is a issue of freedom. We are not given the freedom of what we want to do. Why eat this? Why don't eat that? Why enter the kitchens? Why don't enter the kitchens? So there have been scientific reasons for this, which have been just misconstrued. This is something that he has also seen his mother doing, or his sisters doing. My husband, he's also seen this in his family. Of course, I come with my own experience of as a menstruator myself. So, of course, he knows that these are topics which need attention, and we need to do it. Somebody has to do it. So he said, "Okay, I was anyways going to support you as as a wife, but I think this topic and men talking about it is equally important, like a woman talking about it, because men also need to know what really happens, and they are curious. I'll just give you an example. Last month, we did a workshop with a gynecologist. We did a workshop called Men in Periods. So the workshop was basically aimed towards men, and the gynecologist spoke to them about what exactly happens, what does a woman's body go through, and how they can be a support system for women while they are menstruating through the entire time. And you won't believe, wherever we have done these kind of workshops, we normally focus on women, talking to women, what happens, what happens. But we have always seen men ask us a lot of questions that, okay, can we attend the workshop? We are also curious to know. Uh, for their girlfriends, for their wives, for their daughters. So men are wanting to be a part of this conversation generally now. That, okay, we also want to know if, there are a lot of single parents. Just the father raising a daughter. What is he going to do? He needs to be informed. He needs to know stuff to be able to guide his daughter. So the dynamics in the world based family dynamics are changing. So taking that into consideration, we have to not just involve women, we have to involve the men also in this conversation, get them informed. And from that perspective, my husband Apurv, he thought that I talking to men is one thing, but if he comes and starts coming on screen, he starts talking to more men and starts appealing them, it might make a lot of difference. And it has done, it has made a lot of difference. So that was the whole idea of he coming on board full time as our co-founder. um, of course for a larger impact, but also because we need more men and we don't have that in India.
Again, coming back to the business decision of, the whole business or attempt something, that's usually the case when somebody is experimenting, but you both decide at the same time. I think it's a huge plunge.
They were definitely supportive. Our parents, both the set of parents, were a little anxious because they were just like, okay, both of you are going to get into this. So what about the earnings and what about the financials and all? Explain them that, okay, so it's a well planned decision. We have been planning for this for a couple of years now, saving money. We have a couple of things planned, and just in case things don't work out, if there is a downfall and things don't seem to be working, both of us are qualified enough to go back to our jobs. The recent organizations are actually ready to take us back. So plus this experience of running a business, a social impact kind of a business, that is just going to add more experience to our entire skill set. So there was nothing to lose actually. There's nothing to lose. It's just about gaining. We might make a lot of money or we might not make money. We can definitely get back to our job. So there's nothing to lose. And when we, slightly explained it to them, they took some time, but then they're completely on board now.
There must be some challenges that you might have faced along the line. What do you think were the roadblocks that you faced? Maybe you can name some as an example and see how.
There were, I can say, 2 to 3 main challenges which we face and we are facing on a very ongoing basis. The first challenge, which nobody of us expected, was the fact that we launched the business right at the middle of the COVID pandemic, COVID-19. Yes. So that was I would say it's a very operational challenge because it took a lot of operational stuff haywire. Courier packages did not get picked up, and then website getting launched, the stocks here and there, movement was restricted. So that was operational. But they always say that there are some, you have some blessings in disguise. COVID starting in the middle of this pandemic was the best thing I think which would have happened to us, because that time the conversation around hygiene was very ripe. Everybody was talking about hygiene, just general hygiene, very ripe. So that was one. Second thing, sanitary pads. We were selling sanitary pads. That is an essential item. So nobody could ever stop our consignments going from here and there. They were just getting delayed, but we never had any issues with, okay, this is a non-essential item, so we cannot send it across. I think both of these things, people just focusing on their health, people focusing on their hygiene, that really changed a lot. And we started our business, the first couple of consignments were actually for a donation cause. So I think that is a very good way to begin a social enterprise when you are directly impacting somebody's life. That was the first challenge. The second challenge is when things started to normalize and we started our marketing activities started scaling up. What we realized is lack of awareness around periods, period products, sustainable alternatives was much deeper than I expected it to be, or than we,
Yes.
you know, assumed it to be. People were really not aware of very, very simple things. If you just put your product out, if just compare it with, let's say, a coffee mug or a coffee for that matter. You just put that around, good pictures, very high quality pictures, some good gimmickry about it, and people buy it.
Yeah.
When we had to sell our product, we had to give a lot of information about the product, about people, about who is making these products, how hygienic it is, testing, certifications. So that is what we realized, that we will need to give a lot of information and spread awareness first, rather than just trying to sell the product.
You are talking about the whole value chain. That's what I
Yeah.
want at your website.
Yeah. So even if we were selling a product, we had to first educate the person about what it is, why does she need it, and everything, how to use the product, and then she would go and buy. Even then, there was a lot of hand holding that needed to be done. So from that perspective, once we observed this, then we moved to our one of our other channels, that is the workshop channel. We started a helpline. So we have a mobile number which is accessible on WhatsApp, accessible on phone or SMS. People can get in touch with us directly, and our expert team handles those queries, answers those questions. And these experts are doctors from various fields specifically related to women's health. So we launched this. We started again engaging the same experts to set up workshops on different topics. So we used to interact with a lot of people on these workshops. So once they understand the concept around these products and menstrual health, then it became easier for us to sell the product. So I would say selling a menstrual product is very, very different from the way you generally sell products online. There is a lot of education awareness that is needed, and you need to be there all the time to answer people's queries. They should be very comfortable of holding a very intimate, these are intimate conversations, so people should be very comfortable doing that. Your team should build that kind of a trust. So these are some of the challenges, good ones. Of course, we have been able to onboard 7 to 8 experts from the field of gynecology, Ayurveda, pediatrics. There are some yoga specialists, nutritionists who are helping us build this community, build content around the topic.
There is still a lot to be made aware of. If I have to go back to my own experience, I belong to a family where I'm in close contact with doctors. My aunt is a doctor. I have an uncle who's a doctor. So it's a well established. When I menstruated for the first time, I did not know. I thought I'm going to die or something. So it was that kind of It's just that people don't comfortably explain what it is, and I'm hoping that things are changing to have more discussions like this happening so frequently in front of the audience that have to listen to this. Coming back to the product, I have a couple of questions, and I think I know what it is, but I would like you to explain for the audience the stigma attached about cotton. The moment you say cotton pads, is that, oh, this will not be dry. And I see in your website you address this. If you could explain how exactly these cotton pads work.
Yeah. When we talk about, so our flagship product is a washable pad. It's a cloth pad. The pad is completely made of cloth, different types of cloth, 3 different types of cloth actually. So the layer that touches the skin is facing towards the body, is a dry feel fabric. So what happens is any liquid, menstrual fluid or any kind of a liquid, when it comes in contact with it, it gets absorbed inside and gets it absorbed in the inside fabric layers. The inside layers are absorbent layers. They are specially designed fabrics to hold hold moisture, hold any kind of a liquid.
Mm.
The outside layer is again a fabric which is laminated to become leak proof.
Mm.
So what happens is when you just have to use it like a regular sanitary pad, but
Mm.
a regular sanitary pad, it has a little bit of adhesive which is at the lower end, which needs to be stuck to your panties, to your underwear at the
Mm.
bottom. So instead of that, in the cloth pad, you have snap buttons. You have buttons, snaps, which need
Mm.
to be hooked onto each other so that the
Yeah.
pad stays in place around your underwear.
Yeah.
Now, when we talk about washable pads, as a country, India traditionally has always used cloth.
Mm.
And when I say cloth, it has typically always been cotton cloth, because cotton is the most comfortable fabric
Mm.
readily available in the Indian market,
Mm.
and it actually also is suited for the Indian weather conditions.
Mm.
In a very tropical kind of a country, moisture, heat, and all. It's a very suited fabric for this kind of a
Mm.
geography. There are just two concerns which we have observed. So whenever we expose our cloth pad via some advertisements or Facebook posts
Mm.
and all, social
Mhm.
media, most of the women have just two questions. One is it going to absorb properly?
Yeah.
And what about the stains? Because if
Mm.
stains remain, then I might get infections.
Mm.
So we just worked on solving these two problems while we were developing our product, the prototype. So what we have done is the fabric that we have selected is such that it does not retain stain. When you wash it, all the stains are gone. Even if there is some difficulty that you find, we have just recently launched a wash. It is a plant-based wash. It's a mild detergent, plant-based detergent, which is again developed to work on blood stains, specifically but blood stains, because they are a little more nasty than regular stains.
Yes.
So that was one, the kind of fabric that we chose. And second, we embedded that fabric with an antimicrobial technology. So what happens is when any so the pad is used, it is wet, it is being dried maybe in sunlight or in just a well ventilated space inside. There is a chance that because of the moisture, there can be a buildup of pathogens, bacteria, virus. So the
Mm.
technology that we have embedded on it is such that it just nullifies the effect of these pathogens. So it is just a simple positive negative charge interaction where the charge gets nullified and there is no buildup of pathogens that is happening. So because of these reasons, what is happening is, of course, the pad is absorbent because of the inside fabrics, they are absorbent. But since there are no stains, it it is very the woman who is using it is very at peace about it. Okay, I'm
Mm.
not worried about infections. Plus, the antimicrobial technology is definitely at work.
Mm.
So what this made is this pad has become suitable for both the types of population. An urban woman who is looking for a product which can give her a rash-free experience or no
Mm.
plastic experience. So that this is suitable for her also. And a rural woman who wants to save money. So this is a reusable product, it will save money. A
Yes.
rural woman, any which ways, is used to using cloth. This is just a ultra modern version of the cloth that she has used.
She uses.
It's a very technical and a good product for her.
Mm.
And the third thing is, because of this antimicrobial technology, even if she's not able to dry the pad in sunlight,
Mm.
this is again a very important taboo that for rural women in India to dry out their period products out in the sun. So even if she's not able to dry the pad in sunlight, even if she dries it inside, she's still saved of infections. So
Mm.
just working on these two aspects on a cloth pad, we have made a product which is suited for any kind of a geography. Even if, so for example, even if I talk about a place like Europe,
Mm.
we see there's a lack of sun sometimes. sunlight is an issue at most of the times of the year. So
Yes.
such a product is very well suited because you can easily wash it in the washing machine with regular detergents, dry it indoors. There's no problem at all. It's a thin product. You don't even feel like you're wearing something very bulky, giving the feeling of a diaper.
I understand. Can I ask you one stupid question, maybe? If I'm putting it in the washing machine, then it has to be only that product inside the washing machine, isn't it? It cannot go with any other cloth or any other. That's the one thing, isn't it?
It can. I'll tell you how. See, what happens is
Ah,
when you use a cloth pad, there's blood in it. So what you do is, then this is a normal washing process. There's blood in it. So you first soak it in water, cold water, not hot water, because hot water sets the stains. Actually, it doesn't remove them. So you
oh,
uh, soak it in cold water. Put a little bit of detergent or the wash that I mentioned. What will happen is because of this soaking for 10 minutes, all the blood that is soaked inside, the clots and everything, they just dissolve and come out in that water. Once that happens, you just squeeze it. Make sure that all the blood from inside is completely out. Once that happens, you either wash it by hand, just generally rub it and rinse it with your hands, or you
yeah.
can toss it in the washing machine whenever you are running the next cycle.
Mm,
So that is how you can wash it in the washing machine. So what happens is the washing machine gives a more thorough clean.
clean. One more time, yes. Yeah, I'm just asking you so for the people that are thinking, okay, how many times should I run a washing machine?
No. This is a perfectly valid question, and we do address this in our conversations also. A lot of times, what happens is when you're using cloth pads for one cycle, you need at least 6 to 7 pads, which you keep using over the 5 6 days of your periods. A lot of women do this that after their entire cycle is over, they just run one machine with only these period products, period panties, their cloth pads and everything. One thorough machine only with these period products, and then they dry it properly and then fold and keep it inside the cupboard for the next month.
Hmm. Yes, and there is a life also of this product, reusable. How long can we continue to reuse?
So you can continue to reuse this because it's a fabric. It has a slightly long life, 3 to 4 years. The fabric can definitely stay.
Mm,
If you talk about the antimicrobial technology, that
mm,
because you're washing it and reusing it, that
yes.
stays for some 75 to 80 odd washes. So when I
Oh,
talk about 75 to 80 washes, um,
mm,
you use pads in alternation. So what happens? You end up using one pad for at least 3 years, 2.5 to 3 years, which is a decent enough time
yes.
for us also to get bored of the pads.
How this is your advice or your suggestion to viewers who are watching you and thinking, hey, I also want to jump into something different or strike out in my own way. So how does one go about identifying his or her career path?
There is one, and I have been talking to a lot of college students because of our interactions for our products. I've been talking to a lot of college students, and this is a very common question that comes up because the startup ecosystem is evolving so rapidly that it is becoming uh, a very favorable choice for a lot of college students. Everybody feels that okay, they can get into starting something of their own and then make a lot of money. There's so much of news in the media going about fundraising and all.
Yes.
One thing that I have realized because I've started my business. This is my second venture actually, not just the first. It's my second venture. I have raised funds a couple of times, 3 times actually, for once for my previous venture and now twice from angel investors, VCs, and all. And now that I've run my own businesses for the last 4 years. What I have realized is it's great for us to think about starting our own business. But make sure that it always comes from a point of passion for doing something, for making a change, for doing some impact, whatever it means. When I talk about impact, it just doesn't have to be about any social impact. It can be anything, just a change that you want to make in people's life for the good. Let it come from that passion and not from a point of view of making more money. Of course, you will make money. If you run successful businesses, everybody makes money. That is always there, but let that be a fallout of some building a successful business and not just the prime objective. And I'll tell you why I'm saying this. One is, if you're starting from a point of passion or doing some change or impact in the society or your country, it lasts longer. You can stay on the journey for a long time. This seldom happens when you're doing this only for money, because I will tell you, entrepreneurship is a lot of work, lots and lots of work, a lot of thinking and decisions to be taken on a daily basis. You don't have a very settled life for the first few years.
Yes.
No Saturdays, no Sundays,
No,
16, 17 years of work hours.
not just Saturday, Sunday.
Your business now, whenever all your waking hours, when you're not sleeping, all your waking hours, you're just thinking about this.
Yes.
So it's a slightly tough life. So, and of course, money coming in takes time. Even if we read a lot of funding news and everything, people are burning a lot of money. They're not taking this money to their homes. People are burning a lot of money. There are a lot of expenses that we never really are able to fathom until we are on that side. So it is a very tough journey, but it's a very fulfilling one. So I'm happy that I got onto this, because, as I mentioned all along this conversation, that it had always stemmed from some passion, some need to change stuff, something that I wanted to do better. That is what keeps me going, because I'm not really making any money since the last 1 year. So if you were in for just money, then you would definitely give up. This is the only one advice that I would want to give, because everything is just more about evolving yourself on a daily basis, learning new stuff. The paradigms of marketing are changing every single day, if you really ask me. So you always have to be on your toes, learning new stuff. But the basis is this: if you are passionate about what you're doing, you will make out the time and energy to do all of this.
What do you think are the key challenges one should be aware of?
So, okay, so now you said you have your own idea, you're very passionate and kicked about it, you want to start on your own. It is the first thing that I would like to advise, and this comes from some mistakes that I have also done, is that a good and successful business, which can also be scalable after some point of time, needs to have a very strong business model. So, if you're selling a product, like we're selling a product, even if you're selling a tech product, it can be anything. You have to have a proper scalable business model in place. There are some businesses which don't demand a lot of money initially, like product businesses don't demand a lot of money. So even if you have one or two good products you've developed, if you're a little frugal in marketing and know how to work your way out, you will be able to make a success. Tech companies need a lot of money maybe in the initial days, which is fine, which is just the nature of business. But the point is that you have to have a business model that is set and it can be scaled up pretty easily. Having said that, it is not necessarily that you have to have the business model in place right from day one or even before you start the business. It always evolves. A lot of new, young enthusiasts who want to get into startups. There are just two common notions which I have observed: is I need to have a lot of money and I need to have a very set business model. Otherwise, nobody is going to hear to me. It is not the case. If you and I talk from a product experience, because I've always sold products. I'm not that great at tech side. So from a product point of view, develop a prototype, a simple minimum viable product, has important features that you want to sell out. Just make that ready. put it out in front of people. And believe me, these days are so easy to get connected to audiences because of social media, advertising being way cheaper actually.
Mm.
Very easy. Get in touch with people, frugally try to expose your products. If they are not willing to buy, give it out for free as samples, let them use it, and
Yeah.
then give your feedback. Start doing this. You don't have to have a business model in place right at day zero. Just put
Mm-mm.
your product out, see what people are seeing. You will have to make a lot of changes. I told you, our first product took 3 to 4 years for
Mm.
development. There were so many iterations, and every product goes through this cycle, even if you are an established company. So just put your product out, let people check it out, and give you feedback. And that is how things will evolve. Don't spend a lot initially. You don't need a lot of money, to be very frank. Just try to be frugal. Don't burn money so much. Try to just gauge your audiences. Try to build and understand who your audiences is. Once you do that, and this normally takes at least a year. We started last year in March and April, I told you, in 2020. It took
Mm.
us until this March and April for us to actually figure out who my exact customer is and how am I going to communicate to that customer, through
Mm.
what channels, in what
Mm.
language. So
Mm.
you take that much of time, and that is the reason you really don't have to have a very fancy website. There are simpler template based websites. You just need to have a basic website where the product photographs and information is there, and
Mm.
people can do transactions, buy the product and give you money.
Mm.
Start out with basic stuff. Once you have this model ready, trust me, investors, as I'm talking about money now,
Mm.
investors are always looking for something which can get money in. It can be anything, even if they have imagined or not. So once you have a product which is bringing in customers, people are paying to get that product, they will always be there. And the system, the infrastructure is so well equipped these days that it is very easy for you to reach out to investors. Investors are also hunting for good bets these days. So
Mm.
what all you need to do is just get in a good product, get in front of people, use all possible social media channels that are available, everything, right from Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, everything, whatever
Mm.
is available. Just be there. People are going to find you. The right people are going to find you. So
Yes.
and money, then of course, if there's sale coming in, then there's definitely going to be money coming in. And the
Mm.
third advice is, if possible, you're just planning. So on the sides, you can just start teaching yourself about finances. How do you manage tomorrow
Mm.
if you have to get into a discussion with an investor? What are you supposed to talk to them about? What kind of points?
Mm.
What the negotiation pointers as you're running a business? So balance sheet, cash flows, all of these are very technical terms which we normally don't put so much effort into, and then when we get into the business and it kicks off very well, then
Mm.
we are in a confused pool that okay, now what do I do?
Mm.
So if you are informed about these things a little bit in advance, it is easier for you to discuss from a stronger position.
Coming back to the product that you are, um, you know, have established already right now, how are educational institutions and also rural areas where still this discussion is not there?
Okay, so both these places we are tackling in two different ways. So when I talk about institutions, colleges, or even corporates for that matter,
Mm.
one channel that is helping us a lot is LinkedIn, because we see a lot of uh, these institutions, corporates, their key people are very active on LinkedIn because it's a professional platform.
Yes.
Facebook helps sometimes because Facebook, everybody is there on Facebook. So even from whatever background you're on Facebook or Instagram. So that's why I mentioned being available on all the channels, or an omni-channel approach, as they say, is very essential, because you don't know who is going to discover you where. Okay,
Yeah.
so you need to put out your communication everywhere. But
Yeah.
direct communication is helping us on LinkedIn. We directly reach out to a lot of institutions also, since we know or we just find out their information, their contact details, and reach out to them from the point of view of institutions. When I talk about rural, that normally happens via some NGOs only, because NGOs have a good connect with rural areas. So we tag along with them as their education partners or product partners, and then we go out to these places and take sessions, distribute products, or sell products, whatever. So these are the two models that are working for us right now. Directly approaching rural areas is something that we are still not equipped to do, because our team itself is not that big. So we are partnering and collaborating with people, and they are not just NGOs, like registered NGOs. There are a lot of individuals who are very enthusiastically working in rural areas, at least in the Indian market. Individuals who are a little more passionate about topics like these. There are a lot of doctors who have adopted villages and they take care of the health issues in those villages. So they are getting in touch with us, seeing our advertisements, our content on social media. So these are the two things that are working for us.
What would be your suggestion to educational institutions, or any organization that is, or community maybe, that is facing challenges around this area, or getting girls to schools and so on, because of the menstrual issues?
When I talk about urban areas or even institutions that we get in touch with, in the urban areas we don't find this a major issue where girls have to drop out of colleges and schools because of this issue. For the very single reason that they have access to good quality products because of the financial condition. What needs to be worked out there is spreading awareness and talking to the girls from a very holistic point of view of how they can take care of their menstrual health, how can their periods be a little more smoother, what are the issues that they can face because of, and which are the issues that need to be voiced out, not just to their parents but also to their teachers. It is important for education institutions to engage experts for having these conversations with their students. For the very simple reason is, see, I'll tell you my personal experience. When I was in school, we had a session that was taken by our science teacher. So not always you find somebody who is equipped to talk about topics like these. There are a lot of different kind of questions, a lot of um, inquisitiveness in students of that age, particularly 10, 12 years, where every time a school teacher is not equipped to handle it. So either we properly train them to do this. How do you talk to girls? How do you talk to boys? Because otherwise it just becomes a biology session. You're just telling people what is happening. This is your body. This is happening. Okay. But then there is a lot of psychology around it, a lot of inquisitiveness. What if I do this? What if I do that? There is so much of a talk going about good touch and bad touch, which we need to tell girls of that age. So teachers are not always equipped to this. So either you equip your own teachers or you engage somebody like, for example, somebody like us or doctors who are experts in talking about this topic. This is very essential for the urban areas. Rural areas, along with this, you talk to students, you need to talk to their parents also. Because parents are the one taking the decision of asking the girl to leave school. So you need to talk to their parents, make them understand. Try to understand from the girls what is the kind of routine that they go through. Again, you need sessions for these. Somebody has to go there, talk to them. Again, their school teachers are not equipped, because I have personally taken sessions in so many schools in outskirts of Mumbai, which are rural areas. The teachers actually, they address us as doctors. You have come and you have really helped us so much, because we wouldn't have been able to talk to the girls like this. They're not equipped with the information to talk. They had asked us so many questions. So, you realize there is so much of poverty, not just for access of products, but also information. So once they're equipped with the information, then you need to make some provision to make good quality products available to them at a price that they can afford.
Mm.
So we've tied up with some local retailers there, or we've kept some products in the school itself, where
Mm.
there's a dispensing machine and the girls can access, just put in a 5 rupees coin and draw out a pad and use. So that
Mm.
she starts menstruating while she's in the school, first periods. And this is what happens with 75% of girls.
Exactly.
It starts at school only most of the time. So
Mm.
you are not equipped with information. You don't know what is happening with you, and second, you don't have a pad with you. So,
Mm.
so these two things, even if we do this much is sufficient for now, because even this is not happening.
No, it's not happening. There's so much shame attached. And yeah, the worst thing is that in one of the countries, there's many countries that have this issue going on. Mm.
One more thing which I missed mentioning is in this entire conversation, we need
Mm.
to engage the boys as well. When
Uh,
you engage
we
boys,
never do that. In most of the cases, we don't. No.
we never do that. So engaging boys, not so from a point of view that okay, if you're teaching a girl about her puberty, the
Mm.
boy's body is also changing. You need to talk about his puberty as well. That is
Mm.
one. And second is if both the genders learn about the other counterpart at the right time in the right way, it helps them also to respect each other.
Mm.
Because in schools is the best place where a lot of bullying takes place.
Yeah.
Children are just teasing each other. Boys are teasing girls, or okay, what is happening to you, and this blood and all of that, you're going to die and all of that. So if they are informed about these, maybe we can change certain things at the school level. And
Mm.
why this is essential is because it is a very tender age, I would say, a very impressionable age. So any kind of an experience which we get at that time, somebody talking to us in certain way, blood coming out of our body and nobody telling us what, all these instances, they always stay. They always stay, and they stay for life. You just cannot get them out of your body. That is what has happened with at least Aj, and I have particularly experienced all of this, and they always stay. So keeping them informed is going to just help them. And what happens is, because of these negative emotions staying for so long, we observe a lot of women of our generation have started feeling that periods are so gross and periods are a complete nuisance. Why do I get this? Because of this negative impact, it is actually an entire array of things happening where the period experience is also bad. So it works like you have a very negative feeling about something, and if you keep thinking of that particular thing as just negative, 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 your body also responds to that thought and actually makes your period experience negative. So you never get out of that cycle. So what is essential is just instilling that positivity around it. It's okay. It's a normal process. It happens to everybody. You don't have to worry. But if there's some problem, you need to talk to me. I will talk to the doctor, and then we can sort this out. We are there. Just this much of positivity being instilled at the school level is also enough, and that is going to stay with her for life.
Is there anything else that you feel you must have discussed in this session of ours? Or some awareness or any suggestion, anything you want to say, please do.
I think I might just be comfortable concluding with just one particular experience which even I am facing these days, and I've also learned because of AVNI, is the most important things which touch you or impact your life are very basic ones. Good conversations, simple, good quality home cooked food, simple conversations about things that matter to you. Like for example, nobody would have. I never thought that talking about periods, a topic like menstrual cycle and periods, can impact so much that whenever we put out an article, it gets picked up by even international media. So
Mm.
this is something which I never realized. So we are doing some PR exercise here in India. Whenever we put out some article, it always gets picked up by international media.
Okay.
The point that I'm trying to make is that all of us think about running businesses and all, but it is very important to just simplify things, talk about things that really matter, and talk
Yeah.
about them in a very simple way, because that is what impacts people. Always and always share stuff in the format of stories, because that is how humans are built to consume information. So anything that you want to sell, anything that you want to tell people, just try to build a story around it. Tell it in a very interesting and story format that
Yeah.
tends to stay with people. So I think that is a very important marketing hack I can share with all the audiences and that I've learned from my experience. It's the most complex product that we are selling. A lot of information to be given out, but then to put it out in a very interesting manner and passionately talk about it yourself, it makes a lot of impact. Our most successful ads are the ones where I have come in front of the screen and I'm talking about the product. And that has made the most of the difference. So as entrepreneurs, we should be passionate about what we are doing, and we need to get out ourselves and talk about it, because then it makes a bigger impact.
Thank you very much for this wonderful talk. There's a lot that I have learned personally, and a lot I want to change about my lifestyle as well, knowing you and knowing a lot about AVNI. I wish you good luck and a very good day today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Gomathi. I really enjoyed the conversation myself. It was a very free-flowing one, a very frank one. Really enjoyed it, and you are an awesome host. So really stay connected.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
Wow, this has been an eye-opener of an episode, meeting Sujata and getting to understand at a deeper level the challenges that women face when it comes to the menstrual periods, and also the point that how important it is for men to be participative in this situation that women go through. I'm sure you also found it equally interesting and useful. If so, please do remember to like, share, and subscribe. And most importantly, share your feedback, because this is exactly how we are trying to understand each other and learning to grow this community. Signing off from the GLAC studio, this is Gomathi Sankaran. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.